If you feel like you eat all the time and you still can't gain weight, then listen up because this episode is for you. I hear this all the time. My metabolism is too fast. I eat all the time, but I just can't gain any weight. Here's the truth. It's not your metabolism holding you back. It's you. Today, I'm going to break down the real reasons that you're struggling to gain weight and, more importantly, how to fix it. So, let's start with the biggest myth, which is it's my metabolism. Most athletes blame their metabolism, but I got to be honest with you. When I start working with a client and they told me this, we had a call and we talked about it and they're like, yeah, my metabolism's just too fast. I just can't gain weight. I go and look at what they're eating and it's pretty obvious to me it's not their metabolism that's the issue. Just to highlight some of those key issues that I see with my clients is they're not eating breakfast. If they are eating breakfast, it's cereal or a protein shake. They are skipping meals on weekends. So maybe they're consistent on the weekdays, but then they're not consistent on the weekends. They're not eating post-workout. So maybe they get done workout at 5 p.m. and they're not eating till 7:30 at night. That's too long to wait. So the real reason that you're not gaining weight comes down to really these three key things. It's your consistency, it's your food choices, what you're eating, and it's your meal timing. So we're going to break these down one by one for you. So step one, they eat consistently. Athletes, if you want to build muscle, you need to eat and you need to eat consistently. This isn't just about, oh, hey, I'm eating really consistently on my workout days. And then on Saturdays and Sundays, I'm eating 2 meals a day, or I'm eating 3 meals a day. That's it. Like, you're an athlete. You need more than just 3 meals a day. You should be eating every 3 to 4 hours max, regardless of if you're hungry or not. We have to be more consistent than that. If your breakfast is at 7 a.m. and your lunch isn't till noon, that's a long time to wait to eat, especially for an athlete. And so we need to be planning snacks. We need to be planning little things. And a snack is not a bag of chips. A snack is not an applesauce. A snack is something that has protein and carbs, protein and fats, protein, carbs, and fats, a combination of different macros so that number one, you feel more satisfied. Number two, you're getting enough protein. And number three, you're getting more volume in general. A lot of athletes that say they eat all the time, what they're eating all the time is chips, applesauce, maybe soda, maybe candy, a protein shake by itself, things like that. And that's simply not enough for you. So we've got to be eating more consistently, and we need to be eating more balanced as well. So with the frequency, if you wait too long before meals, again, your body isn't getting the fuel that it needs to grow. Simple rule for you guys. If you think about it this way, think about when you are on a school day. If you struggle to eat consistently on a school day, think about, okay, I've got my breakfast, I got my lunch. Now I need to plan a snack between those two. Or maybe I have workouts right after school and I'm not eating between lunch and workouts. That's going to be a bigger time that we need to fix. We need to fill in that gap and have something, whether it be right before the workout, like right after school, or ideally something maybe in that last period, or even in passing period. On the weekends, you've got to be more intentional. Even if you're not working out, even if you don't have a tournament or doubleheader games, whatever, you should be still eating intentionally. You should still be thinking about, even on your days off, eating every 4 hours. So even if you wake up at 10 a.m., think about, okay, I'm going to eat right now by 10:30. Then I'm going to eat at 2:30 and 6:30, and then ideally something even sooner than that, than 10:30. So if you are sleeping in really late on the weekends, that could potentially be holding you back, especially if it's 11 a.m., noon, 1 o'clock. So I would, number one, recommend waking up earlier. Doesn't mean 7 a.m., doesn't mean 6 a.m., just means not noon. And plan out what you're going to have for breakfast. Eat it a little bit sooner. And if you are sleeping in, maybe you're sick, whatever it might be, then aim for every 3 hours to eat. Because otherwise you are not going to gain. You're going to continue to hold yourself back. I've worked with athletes where I've had to flat out tell them, I'm like, okay, you're weighing in once a week. Great. But what I'm finding is you're not gaining weight. And what we did was we started having him weigh in Mondays and Fridays. So he weighed in Monday mornings, weigh in Friday mornings. And what we kept finding was Friday, he'd gained weight for the week. It was looking good. And then Monday morning, he was basically back to where he started. So that's an easy strategy for you to look at. Are my weekends holding me back? That's an easy way to tell. Is if you weigh the same or you weigh very minimal differences between Friday to Monday, but you gain Monday through Friday, then that's something you need to fix, or vice versa. So eating often is great, but the other big issue I find with a lot of my athletes is what they're eating is the issue. So many athletes are maxing out their protein. They're going, protein at breakfast, protein at lunch, protein at dinner, protein shake at snack, protein shake post workout, maybe even another protein shake. They're eating well beyond the 1 gram per pound of body weight of protein a day. That is not going to help you gain size and get stronger if you're working out 2 hours a day, 4 hours a day, etc. You need more than just protein to build muscle. Protein it has a few jobs. Its primary job that we care about is building muscle, but we need the other macros if we expect to get more calories. Because what happens with protein is if you eat a bunch of protein, it helps you feel full faster. So this is one of the strategies for people trying to lose weight, is to basically max out their protein, to eat a lot more protein. And so if they're doing it to try to lean out or lose weight, then why are you doing it to try to gain weight? Like, make that make sense. So what we need to do instead, we need to make sure we're getting carbohydrates. We need to make sure we're getting healthy fats. So yes, we get the protein, and I don't even tell my athletes to count their protein. I just say, hey, we need a solid protein source at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We need a solid one post-workout. And if you're having a snack, then let's fit in a good protein there as well. But we don't just leave it there. That's the start. That's the protein. But then we've got to address everything else. We need to address the carbohydrates. So for your meals throughout the day, you should be getting more complex carbs, more slow digesting carbs. Think oats, rice, whole grain breads, some of the fruits, potatoes, sweet potatoes, etc. Those are more slow digesting. That's going to give you more energy for later in the day. It's going to give you more consistent energy rather than if you're just shoving down the chips or the applesauce or the candy. And pre-workout, maybe a little bit post-workout, is when we get some of those quick digesting carbs. Like back to the applesauce, the fruit leathers, things like that. Those things that give you quick energy, those things that give you energy within, say, 15, 20 minutes, those are the things that you should be having around your workouts, not just as a snack by itself. Those are going to fuel your training. It's going to help you perform better in that training, which means you're going to build muscle more. So third piece is, a lot of athletes tell me, well, I'm just not hungry at breakfast. Or, I'm not really that hungry post-workout. After my workouts, I just don't feel like eating. And here's the deal. Most athletes or most people working out in general tend to not be very super hungry post-workout. Some of us, like me, freaking starving, could shove down a ton of food. Others of you, especially for more intense training, something where you almost feel like throwing up afterwards, then yeah, you probably don't feel like eating. So that doesn't mean we don't eat. That doesn't mean we don't put anything in. Step one is hydrate. Get some fluids in you. That'll probably make you feel a little better. But number two is use liquid calories. Use protein smoothies. Use the protein chocolate milks, like the Dairy Gold Fit chocolate milk or the Fairlifes, where you're still getting the carbs, but you're also getting the protein. Something easy to drink post-workout, gets you some of the electrolytes as well, but again, gets you some of that energy, gets you some of that protein right off the bat. So even if you can't handle solid foods, at least do something liquid. Not just a core power, you need something with carbs in there too. Now, the other piece of that I want to stress is the breakfast. So many athletes tell me that I'm just not hungry at breakfast. It's like, you're not hungry at breakfast because you haven't eaten breakfast in so long that your body's just adapted to it. Our body is really good at adapting when it has to. Our bodies are pros at this. They're so good at adapting. And so at one point in your life, you probably did get hungry for breakfast on a regular basis. But what happened was something in life changed that, whether it be a new school schedule, whether it be following what your parents are doing, whatever it might be. And so then you stopped eating breakfast consistently. So those hunger cues just shut off. It's kind of like if somebody was knocking at your door and you refuse to answer it and they finally leave. Yeah, that they're not coming back because they're like, you're not listening, you're not going to answer. I'm moving on, unless they're kind of a consistent, desperate person. But if we are trying to, or if we decide, hey, I'm going to start eating more at breakfast, I'm going to start doing it more consistently, whether it be starting with something small like Greek yogurt parfaits, smoothies, etc. You don't have to go for a whole breakfast burrito or a whole plate of eggs and toast and stuff. Start with something small if you have to. Over time, your body will start getting more and more hungry. One of my athletes, Drew, he did not really have much of an appetite for breakfast when he started. A lot of my athletes don't. And what's funny though is at this point, he is always hungry for breakfast, and he gets more hungry even earlier in the day because he has built such a routine that his body is used to it. Your body likes routine. So when you give it a new routine, like eating breakfast every day, it's going to remind you of that routine and you're going to go to it by default. Like, have you ever done something without realizing it? Whether it be driving home where you don't even register that you just drove for like 10 minutes because you've done the same route for years, or you walk to school and that, again, that same wiring where you're just like, oh, I'm at school now. Like it just was a blur. That's the same thing. Your body wants that kind of stuff. Your brain wants that kind of stuff. So do that with your food. Make it a habit, make it routine so your body doesn't even have to work. Your brain doesn't have to really think about it as much. So the more that you can do that, the more successful you're going to be. The more that you can be consistent and build habits and routines, the more that you can focus on the things that matter. So, figure out something that you can do on a consistent basis, something you can do over and over and over again so you don't have to think about it. Whether it be making it the night before, whether it be planning the next day, or planning for the week even, do something where you don't really have to think about it. And then over time, you will start getting those hunger cues. Think about it this way too. Have you ever had to change your sleep schedule? Your body was used to waking up at 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m. during the summers, and then you have to go and adapt to waking up at 6 a.m. or 5:30 or even 5 a.m. Initially, it sucks, but over time, your body gets used to it. Same thing with appetite. I didn't used to wake up, for every day this year, I've woken up at 5 a.m. or even earlier than 5 a.m. every day. And my body, used to be hungry at 7 a.m. Now it's hungry by 6 a.m. or 5:30 a.m. because that's what I've made a norm. That's what I've made it like used to. So it's adapted. So your body can adapt. You just have to allow it to. But one thing too I want to highlight is if you're just in general, you don't feel like eating very much or you don't feel hungry, go for easy things, whether it be the liquid calories like protein smoothies, whether it be yogurt parfaits. You can freaking pack calories into that. Add the fruits, add the seeds, the nuts, all the things to make it more dense, or even something as simple as some toast with some peanut butter. You get the carbs, you get a little bit of protein, you get some fats. Easy. So before we wrap up though, I really want to, again, address the biggest mistakes I see athletes make. So number one is skipping breakfast. I already just ranted to you guys about this, but if you miss breakfast, that is a missed opportunity. You are behind. You just slept for 8 hours. Your body needs fuel. You're getting ready for the rest of your day. Your body needs fuel. So regardless of if your workouts are in the mornings, in the afternoons, or the evenings, you will feel better if you eat breakfast. You will feel more energized for those workouts, regardless of what time that workout is, if you eat breakfast. Breakfast is the foundation of your day. So if you're skipping it, then your foundation is not stable. It is rocky. And that means the rest of your day is going to be rocky. So build a solid foundation on breakfast, build a solid foundation in the morning, and you're going to be more successful the rest of the day. Number two, I kind of highlighted on this, but I really want to stress this too. I stress the breakfast. That is one of the number one things holding athletes back. Number two thing that's holding athletes back from building muscle, from performing better, from having more energy, more speed, etc., is not eating pre and or post workout. Pre-workout. You need fuel. If you are eating at lunchtime and you're not eating till after your practice, you go from lunch to practice, which is 4 hours, and you're not eating anything, then yeah, you're not going to perform as well in that workout. You are going to get maybe 80, 70% out of the effort that you just put in because your body doesn't have the fuel it needs. Think about you're trying to drive your car, cross country, and you're starting at half the tank. That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna last. You're gonna get drained, and that's probably why you feel like crashing halfway through the workout or 3/4 of the way through the workout. So make sure that you're fueling pre-workout, not just 4 hours before, but 1 to 2 hours before, and then maybe even something 30 minutes before. Post-workout is another huge missed opportunity. A lot of you guys have your workouts and then you don't have dinner for 2 hours, or your workout's late at night and maybe you feel like, oh, I probably shouldn't eat anything because it's going to affect my sleep, so I'm just not going to eat anything, or all I'm going to do is a protein shake. Now, protein shake's going to be better than nothing, but we still need carbohydrates. We still need to refill that gas tank. So make sure that you're getting carbohydrates. Just don't go for the sugars. Don't go for the chocolate milks that have a decent amount of sugar in them. Don't go for the candy or any of the other things that are just straight sugar. Go for carbohydrates, for slow digesting carbohydrates. Whether it be, turkey sandwich, you get the protein and the carbs. Maybe you are doing that protein shake, but then you're combining it with a Cliff Bar, which has about 45 grams of carbs in it. Pretty good volume, but it's also easier on the stomach and it's more slow digesting. So there's a lot of different ways you could do it. Protein smoothies, etc. There's so many different things you could do. Chicken and rice, pretty light and easy, simple. Make sure you're doing something post-workout within an hour post-workout, not just protein, carbohydrates. That is going to make a huge difference in terms of how much muscle you're going to be able to build. So make sure you're doing that. And then lastly is, again, don't wait until you're hungry to eat or forget to eat altogether. A lot of athletes I've worked with, they just simply forget to eat. They're like, oh yeah, I forgot. I was playing on my phone, or I was playing a video game, or whatever. I just was not paying attention. You've got to be intentional about this. If you're serious about building muscle, if you're serious about gaining size, you need to be serious about it. You need to eat consistently. So make sure that, again, going back to eating every 3 to 4 hours, think about, okay, I ate breakfast at 9 a.m. on Saturday. Now I got to eat at noon, 12:30, somewhere in there. Then I got to eat at 3:30. Then I got to eat dinner at 6:30. And then maybe I have a little snack, even like a protein plus some carbs, say at 8:30, 9 o'clock. That is how you get real results. That is how you're going to see a lot of progress in terms of building muscle, is, again, that consistency. So what is your plan? What's your action plan to actually get more muscle? Because if you continue to blame your metabolism for your lack of effort and your lack of consistency, then you're going to get what you get. And I say this out of love. I say this because I care about you guys, because I know that you can do this, but you've got to be serious about it. You've got to be intentional. And I know that you have school. I know you have training. I know you have all these other things going on, but you can do it. You just got to build a plan and do it consistently. The more consistent you are, the less your brain has to think and the easier it's going to be for you. The athletes that go through my program and they get results, they started taking action right away and they did it consistently. They didn't try to change everything every 5 minutes. They're just like, well, I'm just going to continue building this and I'm going to continue this breakfast consistently. Maybe I change something later on, but I'm just going to keep doing it. And they did it. And it became easy, even in a matter of a few weeks, because they were consistent about it. Again, it's just like brushing your teeth, just like driving your car to the same place every day. You don't have to think about it as much. So, just some key reminders for you guys: eating every 3 to 4 hours max, include protein and carbs at every meal, and have go-to snacks for even when you're not hungry. Have them in your car, have them in your gym bag, have them in places where it's easy to access. And then one last key piece of advice for you guys is do not gain weight too fast. A lot of athletes, they get bummed out because they're only gaining a pound a week or half a pound to a pound a week. That's actually really good. If you're gaining more than a half a pound to a pound a week, chances are you're gaining body fat. Maybe the first couple weeks you're gaining some water weight, but after that should stabilize, should be about half a pound to a pound a week, should be consistent. If you're doing that, then you're on the right track. If you're gaining 2 pounds, 3 pounds, 4 pounds a week, then you are going to lose speed. You're going to be gaining body fat, and you're probably going to be sacrificing performance with that. So do not gain weight too fast. This is why we have to be intentional and not just shove a bunch of food down or shove a mass gainer down or do all these other things, because you can sacrifice your performance if you do it too fast. Now, if you need help gaining weight the right way, you can text me. Shoot me a text, comment or text GAIN to 253-2423, and we'll get you right. Whether you just need some quick resources or whether you want actual coaching so that you can guarantee your results in the next 90 days, then either way, free resources or you want support, we got you. Just shoot me a message, shoot me a text, 253-470-2423, and we'll get you right. And again, stick with this, be consistent, and trust the process. And as always, keep striving for greatness.